Welcome back, Raider Nation. Welcome back for episode number 2 of Raiders Coast to Coast. Right now, we're pretty much East Coast, because Nathan, LV Raider 10 here, is actually in Cincinnati area because he was in Cincinnati for the game this past Sunday. So
Yes, sir.
we've got a lot to talk about, but before we get into all of that, I'm gonna let you take it away to start this off because, like I said, you were in Cincinnati. You
Mhm.
got to see this live in person. So I
Yep.
want your take on what went down this weekend, being there live and experiencing this firsthand. Stop from start to finish, everything of the whatever you did around town, being around all those Raider fans that came in from all over the place. So you just go for it, brother.
Yeah, definitely. So, first I want to say Raider Nation travels so well, and I think the whole league already knows
Yeah,
and
they do.
understands that one. And so the place that I was staying, it was like right in downtown Cincinnati, and literally our entire hotel was pretty much filled with Raider fans. You cannot go anywhere without seeing one. Literally, we walked around. Like Cincinnati's honestly, they're downtown. Everything was rather close, like a whole bunch of little coffee shops, whatever. So we did a whole bunch of little stuff inside the city, and we're walking around. Obviously, I'm always repping Raider stuff. Everyone, literally everyone, when we went to bars, to coffee shops, to try Skyline Chili, everybody was wearing Raider stuff, and it was
How was the
super
chili?
great because you know what?
I
Um,
hear it's really
I'm
good
not
there in Cincinnati.
I'm not a fan. I am
No,
not a fan. I
I was
mean,
too young
I
the last time I was in Cincinnati to try it, so I don't even remember.
I had oh man, I can't even. It was like basically a chili cheese dog, so it's pretty easy to like. I like hot dogs a lot. It was pretty easy to eat a hot dog, but the chili itself was like had better, that's for sure. But yeah, like I was saying, the so our hotel bar was where we were kind of in hotel bar and restaurant, like right in the lobby there. We were kind of hanging out there, getting some drinks, the day before, and wow, we thought we came with a lot of Raider fans. Literally, that whole bar was filled with them, and of course, Raider fans are a little obnoxious, but in a good way, of course. And all you hear throughout the whole hotel is Raiders. Is so great. And then so as well is the hotel where we were staying is less than like a 2-minute walk to Paycor Stadium. So the whole walking way was so dope to go see. The whole streets were filled, everyone flooding down to the stadium. It was an insane experience. Too bad we didn't get the win.
Yeah, that would have helped. That would have helped a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think I had enough beers to help me soothe the pain a little bit though.
Drown your sorrows, right?
That's for sure.
How,
But
how
yeah.
was how was the like you said? I mean, I know for personal experience that Raider fans do travel well. Um, how was the overall experience though, as far as like being in the stadium in Cincinnati on enemy turf? With the Raider fans there. I mean, how well were you received by Cincinnati fans? Let's put it that way.
This was like the real first like away game I would say I had attended, because obviously I live in LA and those are technically away games
Like a
for
home
Raider
game,
fans,
but
but it's
yeah,
not. It's really not. Everybody knows that. So this was the first like official like away game that I had attended, and honestly, like it's so true what everybody says about the Midwest. Their hospitality is absolutely insane. Everyone was so nice, complimenting like, "Oh, I like your jersey. Oh, like hey, you guys are having a rough one, but you guys are like diehard fans and we respect that kind of thing." And it was like super great to see because everyone got along. I mean, obviously, there's people that are like, yeah, you guys suck, blah, blah, blah. Of course, everyone's going to talk shit or whatever. But I mean, besides that, like those 1, 2 fans, whatever, everybody was super cool. The stadium is real nice. Like, I
yeah,
definitely recommend going to a game in Cincinnati, even if the Raiders aren't playing.
yeah. I've been to Cincinnati before, but again, that was back in high school. It wasn't during football season, so the only professional sports team that I got to see play back then was the Cincinnati Reds, and they weren't
Mm.
playing anybody of any significance. It was just a trip we took while we were out there with the high school. But yeah,
Yes, I took a tour of the Red Stadium and it was really nice too. That was really
yeah.
fun.
The like I had uncles that lived out in the Cincinnati area, so when I was a kid in the 80s and late 70s, we used to travel out there a lot. So I mean, I've been out in that area many, many times, like Kings Island. It's a great
Mhm.
amusement park if you ever get there. But you also took another trip too, I believe, yesterday, huh? Oh no, today actually.
Today, actually,
Today.
today, yeah,
And
I
this
went
I'm super
to.
jealous of everybody. I've been to Raider games, but I'm more jealous of where he went today than anywhere else. Go ahead.
Yeah, today. So I had the opportunity to go down to Canton, Ohio, and if anybody is a football diehard, they know what exactly that means. That's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I mean, wow, absolutely just wow. Everyone who is a football fan, young, old, does not matter. They need to experience what goes on in Canton, Ohio, because that that whole atmosphere in there is just like it's amazing. And they're doing really great things in there with you can experience stuff that is like being updated every single week. Like this past, I think it was this past week or maybe 2 weeks ago, the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary football and the gloves were
No
in
kidding.
in there, and like it's really cool. You can see every time you go, it's going to be something brand new that you haven't seen before. Then of course you get to see all the bust of all of the the past greats of football, and I mean it was a great experience. I highly recommend it for everybody.
See, that's impressive what you just mentioned about Jaden Daniels. Because, you see stuff happen during a game that, hits a milestone and you see them take it and they put the tape on it to mark it what it's for and everything.
Mhm.
And then because the announcers will always say, "Well, that's being shipped off to Canton," but you never realize how soon I didn't realize it went out that soon. I mean, that was only 2 weeks ago, that
Exactly.
that touchdown pass. So, I
Mhm.
mean, within a week and a half to 2 weeks, that's already on display in the hall, and now it's where it will stay forever,
Mhm.
So it's like you don't realize how fast some of this stuff actually gets put up. But I mean, that's a perfect example of it. So it's like, yeah, that's one place I have yet to go to. I've been wanting to go to it, haven't really had a chance to go, but that is definitely on my bucket list. I mean, because there, you're not, yeah, you're a Raiders fan, you're a Raider, and all that. But when you're in the Hall of Fame, you're a football fan.
Yeah.
You respect everybody that's in there, no matter who they were, like what team they played for. You
Mhm.
just respect everybody that's in there because they're the greatest of all the greats. You know,
Exactly.
they don't just let any old bums in there. These are the greatest players, coaches, owners that ever lived. And as Raiders, we have a pretty good representation inside that hall too.
Extremely good.
And I know I saw your Instagram today. It looks like one of the bus was talking to you. Who was that again?
I don't know if you can. Let me see if I can fix it here. It's backwards, right? Oh no, you can see it perfectly well.
Yeah, yes, that
You
you're
know,
good.
right here, Marcus Allen, my favorite Raider of all time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got to spend some time, kind of talk to him. I don't know if he was doing much talking back, but definitely was talking to him. Saw some other real Raider greats, like Al Davis, of course, Ray Guy, Daryl LaMonica. You know, a bunch of really cool stuff to see. I mean, like you said, the Raiders are really highly represented in that
Oh God, yeah.
facility, and I mean, just as a football fan, that's just so cool to see. And actually, I ran into a Hall of Famer, Andre Reed, today of the
I saw
Bills.
that picture.
Yeah, that was really
That's pretty
cool.
freaking cool.
But yeah,
Um,
so let's go ahead and I mean,
I'm so
let's
jealous,
go
you son
from
of
a
a bitch.
great
I'm
day
so
today.
jealous. It's what?
Let's go from a great day today to
Oh, I thought you said it was your birthday today. I'm like, what?
oh no. I said let's go from a great day that I had today to one that I wasn't so great last Sunday. So the Raiders went ahead and got another loss against the Bengals. Like I was saying, I had enough beers to go ahead and make sure I swallowed that down pretty well. But the Raiders are it's kind of the same thing this last game as well. The Raiders started off really well in the beginning of the game, first quarter, first drive. Minshew takes them all the way down to within the 10-yard line. Zamir White punches it in, and then that's almost essentially the most offensive like game until the fourth quarter, where Brock Bowers catches the basically garbage time touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, so I knew that this had to be the last game for Luke Getsy. So I'm so glad that I'm sure we're gonna get to that, of course, but I'm so glad that he's gone. So glad.
Yeah.
And we were talking
You could
about a
feel
lot
it.
about him last week. But yeah. And obviously the Raiders defense, they're on the field for way too long. All right, we can't establish drives, and Minshew drops the ball. It's just a whole mess. Hopefully, this whole new change with a bunch of people coming in, people going out, that we can get a little bit more discipline. We can find some kind of identity we've been searching for this entire season so far.
Yeah. My takeaway from all this was when the game started and we went out on offense first, and right off the bat, we threw a pass right away, which totally blew me away. I'm like, are you shitting me? We're not
Literally,
running it
all
first?
of the Raider fans around me, including everyone that I went with, their first audible expression was "Oh fuck!" As soon as he said that, as soon as there was a pass, yeah,
But
that's
I
what
mean,
everybody's
and we did that again. We
expression
we
was.
we went 4 plays in a row. Granted, one of them was a benefit for us because of the pass interference.
Mhm.
Um, but still, there was 4 straight pass plays. I haven't seen us do that yet this year until
Yeah.
Sunday. So I thought, all right, well, and we moved the ball down and we scored. So I thought, all right, we're gonna obviously Getsy must have heard something or AP said something to make the change.
Mhm.
And then after that series, it was right back to status quo of trying to run the ball up the middle, not being effective. Brock Bowers again was almost invisible early on in the game again.
Mhm.
He had a couple of catches early, but and then it just went downhill. It's just the same shit. Minshew, obviously, I haven't seen anything on an injury report for him, but he did look like he was hurt. Because he was
Yeah.
I think that's probably why we got away from the passing so much because he had something going on, which is why we just kept handing the ball off, and getting nothing, you know? So the only other bright spot I saw was the fact that, yes, Brock got a touchdown. I'll take any garbage time you can get him stats and
Oh,
let
for
him
sure.
pat himself, get
Mhm.
him in the game. And then Ritter coming in,
Yes.
when they finally realized, like, listen, Minshew's not going to do it. We need to do something else. And they put him out there. I mean, Ritter looked okay. Wasn't a superstar, but not with that old line.
Yeah. In real time, honestly, Ritter looked like he was the next coming of Tom Brady, because he was getting the ball and getting it out so quickly that the defense couldn't even react. And
Yeah.
obviously, like, that's an over exaggeration, but he looked like really good, especially on that first drive. I don't think they got any points off of that, but like, he still looked really good. Um, Another strong point that I want to highlight is Jack Jones got the pick six, and
That was
I think
beautiful.
everybody has been waiting for him to come alive, and this is his first sign of him actually getting something done, because everyone's been really kind of clowning on him recently because he doesn't
Mhm.
really want to tackle. He makes like some boneheaded plays and he doesn't really show effort. So when he does stuff like that and he shows effort, I think we can, if he can continue to build on that for the rest of the year, it's going to be a good bright spot for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too about him.
Right.
He's a hothead too, so it's like he's got to be careful with that. But that interception, he read that from left field. He saw
Oh yeah.
that one coming. And we talked about Burrow, how Burrow doesn't throw interceptions. That's only his
Right.
fourth one on the year, and we got it on him. We got an interception off of him. So to get an interception against Burrow, that's kind of a big thing, because he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, and for us to get a turnover, and turn it into a pick six on top of that,
Hmm.
that's huge. So the defense helped the offense out there by getting them a touchdown,
Yeah.
moving the score up, getting it closer to what the Bengals were at that time, but just couldn't capitalize any further for the most part. You know, this was
Yeah.
and this is what we talked about last week too. That this was one of those winnable games. You know, looking at it on paper, and it just totally wasn't. Our defense did not play good. You know, they racked up a lot of yards on us.
Yeah, they did. Joe Burrow, like you were saying, he looked extremely efficient. I think up until that point for the sixth pick, he only had 2 or 3 incompletions on the game. Like it was something insane like that. And he had
Yeah,
it was like 5 touchdowns.
yeah, 5 touchdowns, technically
Crazy.
6 if we count the one that he threw to Jack Jones. You know, and then the other thing that hurt us was Brown, their running back. You know,
Yeah.
it ran off what 130 or 140 yards.
Yeah, it
You
was a
know,
bad week for me to trade him in fantasy. That's for sure.
well, I had Moss. I just dropped him today because now they're saying he's going to possibly not play again the rest of the season.
Oh,
So it's like, and I had Brown. I had Brown and Moss at one point, and I dumped Brown when he was doing shitty. I'm like, all right. I'm
yeah.
still waiting for McCaffrey to come back. So hopefully this
Mhm.
weekend because I drafted him first and I haven't been able to use him.
Well, he's gonna
And
be
I'm
coming
still in
back.
first place in my league, so go figure. Once I get him back, forget it, lights out. I'm gonna win it. But I hope.
But also, I also wanted to point out the other corners in Jacorian Bennett and Nate Hobbs.
Bennett
Jacorian
had a good
Bennett,
game.
I think he held when he was covering Jamar Chase, he only held him for like 25 yards. And
Yeah,
Jamar Chase seemed nearly invisible. It was really Chase Brown and Mike Gesicki that was killing us
yes.
defensively. Mike Gesicki, I don't know what he ate. He must have ate his Wheaties before the game because he was insane.
Well, could you imagine if they had Higgins out there? That would have been all over.
Yeah.
We would have lost by a hell of a lot more than that. I'd say that right now because with the two of them out there, who do you cover out of those two? You double up on Chase, and that means Higgins is alone out there, and he's just going to kill you. You
Yeah.
know, just the secondary played decent, but there was still some miscues out there. Max was almost like invisible this weekend. They did a good job
Yeah.
stopping him. You know,
Th-
he didn't
There
even
was
have a
still,
sack in this. There was
yeah,
what we
they
only
were,
had one sack the entire game, and it was two guys converging on him, so it was a half a sack each. You
exactly.
know,
They were really scheming to him, and it was like even live, it was extremely apparent how the scheme was towards Max Crosby, especially in the run game, because they were having the guard or the tight end pull and kick him out, and then Chase Brown would run right behind him, and he
yeah.
would like be like almost there on the tackle. There was a couple of times he put his arm out, couldn't make the tackle, but they schemed extremely well to try and uh
And it's
you know,
smart. That's what teams have to do. If they have any
exactly.
chance of moving the ball well against us, they have to key on Max. You know, and shame on them for not doing it when we end up beating the shit out of him on the up front on the defensive side because well, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Now it's your job to stop him. You know, and the Bengals were pretty successful at that this weekend.
Yeah, they
Um,
definitely were.
I think the other real bright spot for us this weekend was JPJ
Mm,
starting at center.
yeah,
That kid, that's it. We found our starting center.
yeah,
You know, he's it. James is. I don't think you're going to see Andre James come back and play center ever again for us. I
yeah.
think he's done.
It's
I'm
hard
surprised we
to.
didn't try and trade him away. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
this
I like
this.
Andre James as a player, but I think Jackson Powers Johnson was just
Oh my God,
an
he's so much
elite center. I think I seen something. He was like the highest graded Pro Football Focus offensive lineman of the week,
Yep,
like something crazy, or offensive rookie, something like that. But something crazy.
yep. He had a heck of a game, and you can see he takes command of that front line, that offensive line. Um, and he's not like how do he's not like this big, massive, tall, hunking, offensive lineman. First of all, he's a center. Your centers are usually one of the smaller guys out of your front
Right.
line on your offensive line, but he's still a heavier dude. But man, he's a little powerhouse. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I was watching him, shed some of these defensive guys trying to come in and peeling off of one to help out, his right guard or his right tackle to stop. So I mean, the kid's heads up, he's paying attention. This kid's a bona fide superstar for us for offensive line. So just him and Bowers alone makes this draft completely successful in my eyes right now.
And
that we
that's
had.
not even including DJ Glaze, who's had an incredible
Yeah,
season
exactly.
so far as well. So
You know, for
that draft,
years of striking out on draft picks, I mean, the first 2 we picked, home run on both of them.
oh, for sure.
You
Yeah,
know?
agreed. So that gives us a little bit. I mean, with our record, it kind of gives us a little bit more hope with where our drafting spot is going to be, and especially with Tom Telesco making actually good picks for once for the
Yeah.
Raiders. Yeah, I think that helps a lot.
So, with that being said, we're now 2-7. We're dead last in our division. Um, Playoffs are over. I mean, they were over a couple of weeks ago, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Um, it just makes it even harder now. So, into division games coming up. Next few weeks, um, we've got the Chiefs on Black Friday. Don't we have Denver before that too?
Miami is next week.
Yeah, it's Miami.
Miami,
Then I think it's Denver, and then it's KC again.
yes,
Because we play the Chargers last game of the season.
right.
So hopefully they're in the playoff hunt and we can knock them out of it. Um, so I mean, so we've got 3 more interdivision games to go. So there's no way we're going to move up in the division. There's just no way.
All the rest of the three teams are playing a little bit too well for the Raiders to even have a chance of moving up, which I mean, at this point in the season, considering our record and where we would honestly like to be positionally in the draft, I mean, it's probably not in our best interest to be wanting to win, but I hate not winning. So I'm going to always want to see a win, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I still see people talking about, "Oh, we just need the tank. We need the tank." No, shut up with that
Yeah.
tank and shit. I hate hearing that stuff.
Hmm.
That is so anti-Raider. Is it even funny? You play
Exactly.
to win. These guys go out there week in and week out, and their goal is to, inflict pain on the other team's players and win the damn game. You don't go out there and you know try and tank to get a better draft pick. No, you just take your chances. You move up in the draft if you can. Other than that, you take whatever's there at your pick. Plain and
Yeah.
simple. You know, you got to work your magic in trading, or just bite the bullet and take what's there. So yeah, playoffs they're out. I mean, we're definitely in contention for a top 10 pick. There's no two ways about
Oh,
it.
for sure.
You
Yeah.
know, going into this week, I didn't think we would win more than a total of 4 games this season. Um, but I've got a little bit more hope now after some of the news this weekend.
Yep.
You know, so let's start with this. Getty gets fired on Sunday after the game.
Hmm.
Um, didn't fly home with the team on Sunday night with Cincinnati, from what I understood from Cincinnati. I don't think he went back with them. I think
Hmm.
they let him go then, but they didn't make the announcement because it didn't come out until late at night,
Right.
Sunday night into Monday morning, that they let him go. And then a couple hours later, they let um, Craig go, and
Mhm.
Scrangilio or whatever,
Uh,
SpongeBob, whatever his name
yeah.
is, they let the other one go. So in one night, we lost 3 coaches.
Mhm.
Um, what's your feeling on losing those 3? I already know how you feel about one of them.
Well, the first, of course, the big one is Getsy, and I mean, you can't not be excited about it because I feel like we need just some kind of new life in this offense, especially, which then goes down to the quarterbacks coach and the offensive line coach. So the quarterbacks coach, I mean, it makes sense. Our quarterbacks have been arguably the worst group of the worst like room of quarterbacks in the entire NFL so far. So you kind of have to put the blame on somebody as well. And then our offensive line has not been great either, and it's really only been our rookies, and then that's actually kind of it. I
Yeah.
mean, even Colin Miller has been not great either. So I mean, I'm excited to see what these new coaches can bring in, especially with Scott Turner. I know he was kind of for a while. He's been on the cusp of like, hey, maybe this is the new, offensive coordinator guy. So hopefully we can see some kind of new life in this offense. And that also goes with possibly moving on from Minshew, kind of giving him the backup role, and then moving on with Ritter moving forward.
Um, I mean, I hate to see people lose their jobs.
Right,
You
of
know,
course.
it sucks that he got let go. I mean, I get it, but you got to look at for the betterment of the team. You know, he wasn't doing us any favors staying there. You know, the goal is obviously, like I just said, the goal is to win the game.
Hmm.
You know, and with him, with his play calling, that wasn't going to happen. We just, it was an inept offense. So losing him, I was all fine for it. I had no problem with it. Um, the other two, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I get letting go of the offensive line coach,
Yeah.
uh, Craig. Oh, yeah, Craig. Um, because obviously the offensive line wasn't playing that great. I mean, granted, yes, we were dealing with a lot of injuries. Um, I get that point, you know, but still, it's the scheme we were running on the offensive line. I mean, we're built to run a power blocking scheme, not a zone
Hmm.
blocking scheme.
Right.
Especially if you're going to have JPJ play as your center now, you can't
Hmm.
be doing that zone shit. You know, use your offensive linemen for what their abilities are and their power. Use it, you know, and that's part of the reason why they probably let him go anyway. So those three guys are gone now. So now in comes Turner, Steven Turner, who was the uh, passing coordinator for the team. So now he's our new offensive coordinator. I don't know how much you've looked up about him as far as what he's been like. What's your take on him? Now he's a product of Norv Turner. It's Norv Turner's son. So everybody
Right.
that knows Norv Turner knows how good he was as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, definitely. So you had sent me something on Scott Turner when he was with the Washington Commanders, and uh,
Redskins. I still call him Redskins.
so when he was over in Washington, he had a good first couple of years, but they were saying in that video that he kind of outsmarts himself, and I kind of feel like Luke Getzey had that same kind of problem, that he was maybe overthinking too much, and I hope that he can learn from our offensive coordinator's woes and what he had done wrong, and kind of learn from what he had done in the past to hopefully, not make the same mistakes, not be
Yeah.
another Josh McDaniels, not learn nothing. Um, but I think I mean, at this point, anything is better than Luke Getzey, because we were not doing anything offensively. And Washington, for the year that they had Taylor Heineke, was electric. I don't know how much that was on Scott Turner, how much that was on Taylor Heineke when they nearly beat Tampa in the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
I thought they were a really good team. But like I said, I'm not sure how much that was Heineke, how much that was Turner, but I hope we can get that kind of version of Scott Turner from this point moving forward,
Oh, I
because I
agree. I
think they
hope
had a
so.
lot of talent. I'm sorry?
I said I agree. I hope so.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because I think with their Washington team, they were really talented. They had Taylor Heineke, Logan Thomas, Brian Robinson. And I think this Raiders team is right up there with the kind of talent that they had up in Washington. So he has a history of working with some talented people. So I'm really hoping he can do something for the Raiders.
He also has a history of working with not so talented offensive players and making it happen too.
Right.
You know, so like just looking quickly at his coaching history. So this he's coached in a ton of different places. So he starts in '05 as a graduate assistant for Oregon State. Okay. Then he was the offensive coordinator for South County High School from '06 to '07. Then he goes to Pitt as the offensive assistant for '08 to '09. Then he's the wide receivers coach there in 210 or 2010. Now he makes the jump up to the NFL. So now he's at Carolina with the Panthers from 2011 to 2012 as the offensive quality control coach. Then he moves on to Cleveland in 2013 as the wide receivers coach. Then he's with the Vikings when they brought in Teddy Bridgewater from 2014 to 2016. So Bridgewater was drafted with the 32 overall pick in that 2014 draft.
Mhm.
That's the year that they won the NFC North Division and lost to the Seahawks in the wild card.
Oh, right.
So he was let go after that season. And then he goes on to coach as the offensive analyst in Michigan under Harbaugh.
Mm.
So he did time there. Then he goes back to Carolina again for as a quarterbacks coach from 2018 to 2019.
I believe that was with Norv Turner as well as the OC, right?
Yes, because then he no, that was let me see.
I might be getting my timeline
Okay.
mixed up too.
He was Ron Rivera was in Carolina at the time. So when
Mhm.
he went to back to Carolina, that was with Ron Rivera. But then Ron Rivera got fired that 2019 season, and that's when he took over as the interim offensive coordinator for Carolina. But he left at the end of the season because in
Mhm.
2020 and 2022 is when he went to Washington to coach for the Redskins.
Right.
There he was the OC. He was the offensive coordinator under Ron Rivera with Washington. So and then he's with us now. So he's got a pretty lengthy list of places he's coached. Hasn't had much stability as far as being in places for any great length of time. I mean, the longest it looks like he's coached in one place has been maybe 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
So this will be his second go around as being an offensive coordinator on the pro level.
Okay.
So he's now our interim. So like you said in the video I sent you, his own players were turning against him, on the lack of ingenuity in his play calling.
Right.
Well, that's got me a little worried, but I'm kind of hoping with Norv in there, it gives him a little bit of guidance on, making the right calls,
Mhm.
like coming up with a good playbook, taking some of this shit that his dad did when he was, OC in Dallas when they won those Super Bowls because those were good teams. And
Right.
Norv Turner is a really good offensive coordinator, crappy head
Yeah.
coach, but a great offensive coordinator. You know, so I mean, it still remains to be seen what happens with this team with Turner.
Mhm.
That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not. It's not like the second coming of Christ. Like Turner's our
Right.
guy. That's it. He's just filling in for the rest of this season. You know, Um, and then Philbin moving over to offensive O-line coach.
Mhm.
I'm fine with that because that's kind of like his forte.
Right.
But again, it's another former head coach. This team's loaded with former head coaches now.
There's a ton on staff.
I mean, it's insane when you look at the coaching staff.
Yeah.
It's like holy crap! How many former head coaches do we got in this team? You know, like my God. So I mean, the only thing we can do is hope that during this bye week, he gets a chance to really work with Ritter. Especially if they know that O'Connell's not going to come back for
Right.
in time for the Miami game. Just let Ritter play. Let him play until O'Connell's ready.
Mhm.
I don't want to see Minshew on the field anymore. I'm sure you don't either.
No, I really don't. And like I said, like Ritter looked extremely good, especially live. So I think we should go ahead and try to let him at least put some tape on film. I mean, if that's all you get from this rest of the season, which kind of goes the same thing for Scott Turner. I'm not sure how much of this is really like a shot for him. I This is more of, to me, it seems more of like a, hey, we just kind of need somebody to fill the spot as of right now.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm willing, if he does, insane or great for the Raiders from this point forward, I think we should give him a shot. But um, I'm not sure. I hope to just see some kind of spark, um, because, like I said, or I was gonna say, um, regarding Luke Getzey and AP. Actually, I think if AP didn't fire Luke Getzey, I think that probably would have been his job this year as well, because I've been seeing a lot of people say that they want to see AP because he was defending Getzey for so often, and then when he came out and said that it was his decision to let go of Getzey and the other two coaches, everyone was like, okay, maybe now he's trying to get where he was last year, building the more the team dynamic, trying to move forward. So I'm hoping we see some more good stuff for the Raiders.
Well, yeah. With that being said, now let me ask you this question, and you give me your thoughts. Is AP on the hot seat? Do you think there's a chance of him being fired either before the season ends or as soon as the season's over? Knowing that
You know,
we're already not going to make the playoffs, there's no shot of us making a
yeah,
playoff.
no, definitely not.
I mean, I
You
should
know,
never say never, but
before Luke Getsy got fired, I would say yes, because this team had zero direction. Um, you know, there's obviously yet to see how we do from that point forward. But I really like AP as a head coach. I think he is a leader of men, something that the Raiders have been kind of missing. Um, and historically, those kind of people in this Raiders organization have done well. So I'm hoping that can kind of be like a throwback to those kind of guys like John Madden. Um, but I'm
Sheldon
not
is a
sure.
great
I
one.
don't think he is,
Yeah.
but that's kind of just my personal bias. I think it's a little bit warmer than what I think it personally is.
Oh
But
my god.
yeah,
My thought process on this: he hasn't lost the locker room yet.
I don't think so.
Everybody's still playing. I mean, it shows.
Hmm.
It shows that they're out there still trying to do what they can to win. Whether they show it on the field or they're expressing it to the media or just out loud, people overhearing it. Um, as soon as if he loses the locker room before the season's over, I think there's a good chance that you're going to see him be relieved of his duties,
Hmm.
as head coach. But my feeling is always this way about head coaches: as long as they don't lose the locker room, or until they lose the locker room, their job's pretty much secure, I think. But you also got to look at it this way: he's 9 games in to being an actual head coach.
Yeah.
Last year was he took over and he worked with what he had. So this is 9 games into his first full season as an actual NFL coach. So you got to give him a chance. That's one thing that we've been having issues with for years with this team, which is why we seem to be rebuilding all the time, is because we can't get any consistency with coaches.
Hmm.
You know, so if we go and switch again, everybody that's been on this team for the last 3 or 4 years, that'll be now their third coach. If this happens after the season, that'll be their third coach inside of 4 years. You
Yeah.
know, different offensive coordinators every time. Look at Derek Carr. You know, if you seriously look at his stats, all right, now he's the leading passer for the Raiders in the history of the Raiders now.
Hmm.
You know, if you look at his stats and what he did with this team, and then look at how many different offensive coordinators and head coaches he had during his 9 years here with the Raiders. It's a miracle that he did what he did because there's no consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency. You know, you look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady was phenomenal year in after year after year after year because guess what? Your head coach was a stable coach and your offensive coordinator. I think they had maybe 2 or 3 total different offensive coordinators in the 20 years that Brady or 18 years that Brady played in New England.
Hmm.
So you get that stability. If you don't have that stability, your team's fucked. You know,
Right.
you can't keep trying to bring in retreaded coaches to try and spark some life into it. You need some conformity to the team. The players need to have the same coordinators for some length of time to get used to things.
Yeah.
And that's my take on a lot of this, and part of the reason why we've been so bad for God knows how many years now is these constant changes that just beat the shit out of everybody, and the fans get aggravated with it too.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I don't know your feeling on that, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Like kind of like we were saying, AP. Well, AP to me is, or what he could be, like his coach ceiling is like a Dan Campbell, a Mike Vrabel kind of guy that everybody like really respects and will play really, really hard for. Obviously, we have kind of yet to see that because we don't have the team that's built around that kind of guy
Yeah.
yet. But Dan Campbell and Mike Vrabel did not have great first 2 seasons, I think, in both of their spots in Detroit and in Tennessee. And I think if we just let him build his team, we've said Tom Telesco drafted great this year. If we can continue
Yeah.
to build on drafts in the next couple of years for the Raiders, will look up.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you got to look at too is we're gonna have a shit ton of money available in the salary cap too.
A ton.
You know, just letting Devontae go, that was huge. What we saved
Mhm.
there. You know, so we're gonna save money there. Um, we are only on the hook for Minshew for the 1 year, correct? Wasn't it a 1 year contract or was it a
It's
2 year
a
contract?
2 year.
2 year.
Yeah.
So you know what? So we let him go. He shouldn't be on the roster at the end of the season. He should be
Yeah.
gone. You know, we keep
Aiden O'Connell is
O'Connell.
cheaper and better.
Yeah, well, because O'Connell's on a rookie contract still.
Exactly.
Um, I don't know if Ritter should still be on a rookie contract too, because that should just follow him when he goes from team to team, I believe.
Mhm.
Because he's only got 1 extra year in the league. No,
Yeah.
didn't he come out with O'Connell? No, he didn't.
No,
He came out the year
he was
before.
the year before. Yeah.
The year before. So this is his 3rd year in the league. That's right,
Mhm.
because he was starting him in Atlanta
Right.
before last season. So so we're gonna have salary cap space. So we're gonna look at free agents. If we bring in a veteran quarterback to help teach these other quarterbacks on the roster, I'm fine with that too. But with the intent that he's not going to be starting, but come in and be a mentor to them and help them.
Yeah.
I've always said this too: is I don't know why Rich Gannon never got into coaching. I think Rich
Mhm.
Gannon would be a great quarterback coach,
Oh
to
yeah.
be honest with you. So I saw someone post something the other day like, "Oh, you should be our head coach." I'm like, "No, what do you mean? No, no, quarterback." Yeah, I could see him being a quarterback coach or a passing game coordinator, something like that.
Mhm.
Not a head coach. You know, Eh, I wish he would get into it and be a quarterbacks coach because I
Well,
think
I
he would
think
be
that's what
really good
Mark
at it.
Davis wants Tom Brady to kind of be. I mean, obviously more from a not so much a coaching spot, but like as of more of a mentor kind of
Well,
in
he's
the
already
front
kind of doing
office.
that with Shador too, the
Right,
kid from
exactly.
Deion Sanders' son. He's kind of like a mentor to him. So I mean, I know Dion wants his kid to play for the Raiders. I
Mhm.
don't know why Dion would be wanting his kid to come to us, knowing you know, how dysfunctional we've been, because that's not Dion's style.
Right.
Dion wants to be a winner, wants to go to always wanted to play for a winner, always wanted to be on the winning team, so I can't see why he would want to force or not force, but talk his son into, you know, being a Raider.
Right.
Uh, that I just don't get that. But I mean, I like Shador. I think he's a great quarterback, but there's extra baggage that comes with him. So if we're already starting to look forward to the draft next year and we're looking at quarterbacks, there's two names that come up right away, and that's his and then the kid Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So it's like either one of them I'd be fine with. I would prefer Ward because
Same.
with Sanders, he comes with baggage in a way because now Dion's going to be vocal about things. He's going to be, and that's the last thing we need. We don't need to be in the
Exactly.
headlines any more than we already are half the time.
Mhm.
And then I see people saying, like, oh, Dion should come in and coach. No, 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 no. I don't want him and his son there at the same time. There's just something about that just
No.
doesn't sit right with me. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I'm kind of sour on the Shador Sanders thing.
Yeah.
There's got to be someone else out there. You know, but then again, it also depends on what pick we have.
Exactly. It all depends on that. And like you were saying, I'm kind of lower on Shador than a lot of people are. Um, like you said, the baggage comes with it. I think he's incredibly accurate, but I don't think he makes a ton of plays. I think they have a great wide receiver core out in Colorado that kind of elevates his play a little bit more because he can be a little
Yeah,
sloppy. But the same thing goes for Cam Ward. I think he makes more plays like himself rather than the people that he's surrounded with. Cam Ward is an amazing athlete. He's kind of reminds me of Caleb Williams a little bit, but he has a lot more turnover problems, and so it's kind of like pick your poison.
Yeah,
From
that
that.
we already have. We already have turnover issues.
Exactly. That's why I'm a little like, do
We
we
want to
really
get away
want Cam
from.
Ward? Like, yeah. So it's kind of hard. This is not a really great quarterback class.
No, it's
Um,
not.
but I'm sure someone's gonna, separate themselves from the bunch. I'm not sure exactly who that's gonna be yet. I think there's still a lot of good football yet to be played, but there's going to be somebody, and I think this has to be the year to go and get the guy that we think that is. We have enough cap space. I think if we need to trade whatever assets, whether it's not Max Crosby, as long as it's not Max Crosby, I think
Yeah.
we're in a position to trade whatever kind of assets to go get that kind of guy, and that's
Yeah.
what I want to see.
As long as it's not Max or JP.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Those two are like
Or Brock
off,
Bowers.
all Bowers. Sorry,
Yeah.
those three are off limits. You can't have them. You can ask for them, but you ain't getting them.
Uh-huh.
So like when you do
Exactly.
fantasy football, you've got players on your you can't drop list or can't
Yeah.
cut list. Well, that's three right there on our team that we're not getting rid of, so you can forget it.
Yeah.
The other thing too is it's not a big quarterback draft this year. I mean, last year was just insane with how many quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm.
good quarterbacks that were available. But the other thing you got to look at too is how many teams that could possibly be drafting ahead of us are in a quarterback needs situation. There's not that many this year because
There's
the
not.
ones that were this past season, and
Right.
pretty much everybody got the quarterbacks they wanted. Carolina could be looking again
Mm-hmm.
because I think they're sour on Bryce Young now because
Mm-hmm.
he's just turned out. I don't know if it's necessarily that he's a bust himself or it's the coaching. They're not putting him in the right scheme to
Yeah.
succeed. You
They've been
know,
arguably more dysfunctional than the Raiders in
oh
the
my
past
god, yeah.
couple of seasons. So
But they beat us.
yeah, yeah, of course they
Go
do, huh?
figure.
Of course
You
they do.
know. So
But
I
yeah,
mean,
like you're saying, I don't think they put Bryce Young in positions where he's able to succeed. So I like Bryce Young. I mean, he's a Southern California guy like me. So
yeah,
I've seen him kind of come up, and I think he's a great quarterback. So I want to see him succeed.
yeah. I mean, Texas definitely picked the right out of the two.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
definitely got that right. you know, but you look at the teams that right now are because right now I think we're sixth. I think we'd have the sixth pick
Yeah,
if the
6 or
season were
7.
to end right now.
Uh-huh.
So you look at the teams that are ahead of us that like the Giants, they're probably going to need a quarterback because I think they're
Mhm.
done with Daniel Jones. Even though they signed him to that massive contract, they're going to find some way to get out of it.
I think
You
he
know,
has I think they have a clause or a team option in
well,
this
I
upcoming
hope
season.
for their sake, you hope they do because I think they screwed themselves going with that contract for a guy that was just so unproven.
Yeah.
Um, Arizona, what's Arizona at? Are they behind us? Or I don't
I
know.
think they're I don't know actually.
Let me see.
It was like Carolina, New England, um who else is 2 and 5?
New England's not going to bother with a quarterback because I mean May's going to be okay for them. All right, so it's
Mm,
right now the draft order would be we'd have the 10th pick.
10.
So the first pick would be the Patriots. They don't need a
Mhm.
quarterback.
No.
Um, why have they got the bank? Why is the Bengals ranked number 2? No, that can't be right.
That had been prior from this last week.
What? All right, so round 1. No, no, I just can't see it's not working out right for me here. Let me see standings if we go this way. All
Right now
right,
I
so
think it's at 6.
yeah,
Uh
so the 2-7 teams are the lowest. There's no one that's got less than 2 wins.
yeah, right now I
So
see New England at 1 and then
yeah,
Jacksonville at 2. So those are already
yeah,
2 teams that don't need a quarterback. New Orleans at 3, which They might want to
They
get
may
one.
or may not. Yeah, I mean, they may part ways with Carr, but they do have Rattler.
Right. And then Carolina at 4, which again, maybe. And then
Yeah,
Cleveland at 5, who I've been seeing a lot of people say they should get a quarterback. But since they're tied up with all that money in Deshaun Watson, I don't know if they will.
yeah.
And then us at 6. So the people ahead of us right now aren't extremely quarterback needy. So we might be able to get the one of the best of the bunch.
But here's the other thing too. You got to look at too. Now you got to start looking at teams that are later in the draft, but could possibly be in the hunt for a quarterback
To trade up.
to trade up.
Mm,
Like Dallas comes to mind.
let's see.
Dallas is definitely right there in that
Yeah,
thick of things,
Miami
I
is right there
believe.
at number 8. They can possibly jump.
Miami, yep.
Tennessee, maybe.
Um, Possibly Seattle too. And don't forget the
Seattle.
Rams. Um, Matthew Stafford's not a young kid.
No, he's been doing good, but
He's been around
yeah.
for he played in Detroit for 12 years already.
Wow.
Or 10 years before he got traded before the Rams made that trade with him and Goff,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, I mean, Seattle's a possibility. The Rams are definitely a possibility. Arizona, I think you're going to see them stick with Murray. It depends on how they finish.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Tampa's going to be set. Atlanta's going to be set for now. Chicago, they're not going to give up on what's his name?
On
Can't
Caleb
think of
Williams.
his name. Yeah, thank you. Green Bay's good. Minnesota, I mean, Sam Donald looks freaking amazing. I can't believe
And
he
they
plays
have
that
JJ
well.
McCarthy, who has yet to even have a play yet.
Yeah, exactly. Detroit's going to be good. Golf will be there for a little while. Dallas definitely. I think you could see Dallas moving up
Mm-hmm.
because I think that Dak Prescott's time has probably come to an end in Dallas. To be honest
Well,
with
he
you,
just signed that huge extension prior to this year.
yeah. Now he's hurt and possibly going to be out for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's another one that could be. If Jerry Jones would just smarten the hell up and make some changes, that team has the capital and the ability to be so much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got so much talent, but it's just they're not even using it anywhere near what they should be doing. It's kind of sad in a way if you look at their situation. Like, I'd
Mm-hmm.
hate to be a Cowboys fan.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
yeah.
the Raider
That's
fans
tough.
have had enough right now. I mean, they're poised to finish. What? Where are they going to finish right now? Yeah, right now they're in third place, and they're only one game ahead of the Giants.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, Washington's 7-2, Philly's 6-2. Washington 7-2. That surprised me this year. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I was not
Not at
expecting
all.
that either.
Not at all. Hey, what's this? There's a game tonight. What the hell? What's the score on
Yeah,
tonight's game?
the Ravens and the Bengals.
Totally forgot. You know what? Because I'm so used to us wanting to. Oh wow, Cincinnati's. Wow, what the hell happened to Baltimore? All right, so here we are right now. It's third quarter. 10 minutes and 41 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and the Bengals are up 21-7 over the Ravens.
Oh wow.
Damn. So let's look at the stats real quick. So Joe Burrow, he's 18 for 30 for 228 yards and 2 TDs. Brown has 9 carries, 29 yards, and a touchdown. Jesus, look at Chase. Chase has 5 catches, 119 yards, and a touchdown.
Jeez.
Now, you look at Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, 12 of 18, which is good, 91 yards and 1 touchdown. Derrick Henry, that's keeping him in check. I mean, a quarter, almost halfway through the third quarter, and he's only got 28 yards rushing. The highest receiver on Baltimore right now is Andrews with 3 catches for 34 yards.
Wow, he hasn't been playing good either.
No, wow, man, what the hell happened to Baltimore? And they're playing in Baltimore, too, on top of that. Damn. Cincinnati was our game against them Sunday, a wake-up for them or something?
I was gonna say, I think the Raiders just woke him up. They woke up Joe Burrow. He's gonna be an MVP now.
Jesus Christ. I was shocked to see that score. I didn't think it was gonna be that. I thought it would have been the other way around.
Oh yeah,
The way Baltimore's been playing, they've been playing lights out. Now tonight, they decide to like, oh, we're
yeah.
gonna
That was our fault too. That Baltimore woke up. They hadn't. That was their loss, and then they turned it up.
yeah, they won 5 straight after that.
Yeah,
Now it looks like they're gonna possibly lose here. I mean, Jesus. So I mean, that's the parity in the NFL. Though one week you're on the tippity top, next week you're losing to the Raiders.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you
That's
go
for
from
sure.
beating the best team in the league to losing to the worst team in the league, or one of the worst
Yeah,
teams in the
that's
league.
so crazy. I can't. That literally
You know?
happened. That's insane.
Seriously, you know, you lose to us, and then we lose to the Carolina Panthers. I had so much hope in this season after that Baltimore game.
Yeah,
First game jitters. All right, we lost to the Chargers. Okay, I'll deal with it. Then you come out and you play Baltimore and you play kind of lights out and just have such a great game.
what it was is that our defense, like we talked about it a little bit, and our defense was insane that game. But you know why? Because all of our starters were starting. Nobody was injured. It was still too early in the season,
Yep.
and everybody was starting. We had Wilkins and Epps and Diablo, and everybody was in. So our
We haven't.
defense, when it's healthy, is
Yep.
arguably one of the best defenses. And in my preview prior to this season, I said we are going to be a top 5 defense because I truly believe that we had the talent and on this defense to be that kind of team, and it was really going to be up to our offense. And I mean, our offense was a lot worse than I even I expected.
Yeah, and I would have agreed with you too. I wouldn't have gone maybe top 5. I would have definitely said a top 10.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know, just adding Wilkins alone would have helped get us to that point. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't been at full strength on either side of the ball
Mm-hmm.
for most of this season. You know, we've had injuries to O'Connell, injuries on the offensive line. Wilkins goes down. Um, what's his name? Epps has been out for a while too. So it's like eh, without that full complement of players, I mean that hurts too. So you know anybody, whoever's the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, they don't have full range or use of their weapons. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and then on the offense side, you take away Devontae. I mean, Devontae took himself away prior to him being traded. You know,
Yeah.
that didn't help either. You know, because he was not the same player the last couple of weeks before he got injured. You
Right.
know that he was. You know, I mean, he just had his best game of the season last week for the Jets. You know, he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't done much of anything this season until then.
No.
You know, but I mean, it's the funny thing in the NFL. You know, like I just said, one week you're on an all time high, and next week you're at the lowest of lows,
Mm-hmm.
and then you play the Raiders and you feel good again.
Yeah. Apparently, we are the secret sauce, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So we get the bye week now. So here
Yep.
we are, week 10. So we have no game this weekend, which is kind of relaxing for me. I don't know what you do on the bye week, but it's kind of relaxing for me because it's a week that I don't have to go to the bar and be with the club members.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that there's any, I love doing that. It's not that. It's just my Sundays when it's during the season, you know, my Sundays I'm at the bar with the club watching the games.
Right.
So I don't really get to watch too much of the other games during the day on Sundays. Um, so like this Sunday, and I love the fact that this Sunday is our bye week, but it also is the Germany game. So I'm going to be able to watch
Mm.
football from 9 o'clock in the morning Sunday, straight up until close to midnight when the Sunday night game ends. So Sunday's just going to be a full slate of football from start to finish for me.
Yeah.
So I'll be in heaven. I'll have my YouTube TV on, watching Sunday Ticket. I'll be in my quad box. I'll have the four screens up on the TV right here to my right, and I'll watch the games there, and I'll be watching my fantasy, and then I'll just relax, and it's just going to be an enjoyable Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So what do you do on the bye week?
You know, I think this little vacation I had going on was a perfect time. because right after, I didn't really have to worry about, preparing a what's it called, a game preview for the next week.
Hmm.
Obviously, I haven't really done the review from last week, which I really need to actually do. But I don't have to worry about preparing anything. I mean, obviously for this is fun, so this is not even like really anything crazy I got to do. But yeah, just kind of chill, watch, like you're saying, watch the other games, kind of scout. Like I'm gonna watch Miami for sure, kind of see what's coming up, and
Yeah,
then
good point.
yeah, kind of see what they got going on. Hopefully, we don't wake them up too, because they're kind of a sleeping giant as well, with Tua coming back as well. So I don't know. I mean, watch the other games. Probably watch um, USC lose again. Big USC fan. They suck this year.
Yeah, I got that's one thing I haven't done this season is I got to watch a little bit more college now that we're going to be in the thick of things, possibly a top 10 pick. I
Hmm.
need to really start looking at these kids coming out from the college ranks, you
Yeah,
know, to get a better idea on who out there would really help our team. Not so much just in the quarterback situation too, like who's out there for offensive linemen. We definitely don't need a tight end.
receivers for sure.
Receivers definitely. I mean, I don't know how good the receiving core is this year. For this upcoming class. I know quarterbacks very limited. There's not that many, um, but we'll see. Hopefully, something on the defensive side that really stands
DBs
out
are
for us.
good this year as well.
A nice defensive end to complement Max would be nice, and not one that we're going to sit and let him get used to playing and everything. One that can come in and have an immediate impact.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's what we haven't had on the defense in a long time is somebody that comes in and is an immediate impact, like Max,
yeah.
or Khalil Mack. When they came out of college, they were just an immediate, just plug them right into the starting line, to the
Hmm.
starting defense, and just run with it. That's what we need this upcoming draft. We need players that we don't have to worry about developing for any length of time. Just get them out there, get them into the thick of things right from the get
Yep.
go. Because the longer you wait, the longer it's not going to work out sometimes. Don't be drafting projects is how I look at it.
Hmm.
You don't want somebody that's like, oh, he's a quick learner. No, I don't want a quick learner. I want somebody that's already learned and can just play right away. That's
Yeah.
what's going to help us.
Right.
You know, not
Yeah.
drafting a guy for the future.
Yeah, I seen a graphic. Things in the NFL change quickly. Last season, Washington was bottom of the league, bottom in the division. Literally, I mean, not obviously not just one player, not just Jaden Daniels changed that, but things change quickly. You get Cliff Kingsbury, you get your quarterback in Jaden Daniels. A quarterback helps a lot, honestly, and that's something that the Raiders are missing. And then again, like I was gonna say that if we can do something like Houston did in that draft with CJ Stroud and then Will Anderson back to back picks, that really set
Yeah,
them up for their future in one draft, literally in one draft.
yeah.
So
You
if we can
address
pull something
both
like
sides of
that,
the ball. When
yeah,
you address
exactly.
both sides of the ball like that, back to back. You
Yeah,
know.
like leaders on both sides of the
Yeah,
ball, huge like difference makers. And if the Raiders can do something like that, obviously that's crazy to hit on both of those picks, like especially that early. It's pretty difficult. Odds are not in your favor, but I mean, why not? There's this
yeah.
this draft besides quarterback is pretty strong in almost every other position. So might as well, to me, honestly.
Well, I mean, and that's like that's probably one of the greatest draft moves I've seen in a long time.
Hmm.
The way that the Texans handled that first round
Oh yeah,
or the first 2 rounds, how they nailed those picks. I mean,
yeah,
you talk about bullseye. I mean, that was insane. They scored with the quarterback big time. And I was a little bit more down on him than I was on Bryce Young. I thought Bryce Young was the better of the two
hmm,
coming out of college. But again, that's also the college game versus the pro game and how well you adapt to the pro
right.
game, pro game once you come out of college. So it depends on what you played in college too. If you played in a pro system, you're going to have a much better shot of becoming big in the NFL right away. You
Hmm.
know, so that's what happened there with CJ Stroud. I mean, he just came out and just lit it up. But it's also on your offensive coordinators and your head coach. You've
Exactly.
drafted this player for a reason. You build around that player. You don't build around your tight end. You
Hmm.
build around your wide receiver. I mean, sorry, your quarterback. Because
Right.
that's the most important position because he touches the ball 90% of the time. The ball's in his hand to start the play, and that's where it needs to be. So you
Yeah.
need somebody that you build that offense around, and that's what we traditionally don't have a tendency to do either. We're not drafting based on that specific need of supporting him, whoever the quarterback is. I don't care who it is. As long as you support that quarterback and what their abilities are, that makes all the difference in the world, you know?
Yeah. Like exactly what I was gonna say is it really shows how draft position dictates like a lot, especially at the position of quarterback too,
Oh
because
yeah.
Bryce Young went into a dysfunctional franchise, and obviously he's not doing very well. And then CJ Stroud was put in a better position. D'Amico Ryans is a good head coach, and they're prospering big time. So it really shows you how where you go really depends on how much you succeed as well.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that's also on the owner too. You've
Hmm.
got an owner that's kind of cheap, really. If you look at
Yeah.
Carolina, he doesn't want to spend the money to bring in players sometimes. He's I don't think Canales is going to be the coach for much longer down there either.
Mm-mm.
Because I mean the team, yeah, they had a couple of good games. I mean, they beat us. I mean, they embarrassed us really. You know, but it's like how long is he going to be there as a coach? I mean, his best coach that he had down there at one point was Rivera. I like Ron Rivera as a coach. I like him. I thought he was a good coach. They just weren't giving him the tools. You
Right.
know, Bryce Young, that whole situation down there. I'll tell you what, I don't think Doug Peterson is going to be long in Jacksonville either.
I don't think
Because
so either.
we're talking about a team that was a playoff team, and now they're horrible.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of coaches that are going to be on the hot seat this year.
Yeah, for
Definitely.
sure.
I mean, they already got rid of Robert Sala's already gone. So
Hmm.
the Jets already got rid of their coach. I think another one that's probably going to be on the outs is Dayball from the
Yeah,
Giants.
Dable for sure.
I think he's going to be gone. Um, and to be honest with you, a lot of people say I'm crazy, but I think Mike McDaniel's might be done too. To be honest with you, I
I
think
hope
he
so
might be on
because
a short leash.
that's one coach that I would gladly give up AP for. Mike McDaniel for sure.
Yeah, but again, though, he's look at the situation. Granted, I know Tua getting hurt, doesn't help, but also that's why you have backups too. And if you don't have the right backup in there,
Yeah,
ready to go, you know,
they have
that's another
terrible.
problem
They had.
too.
I don't know how they okayed them to go into the season, considering Tua's history with concussions and injuries just in general, and they
Why did
okayed Skylar Thompson and
why did you
freaking
not have a viable backup knowing
yeah,
Tua's issues? You know,
exactly.
I mean, in all honesty, when we play the Dolphins in 2 weeks, all that Max needs to do is get in the backfield one time and just smack him on the back of the head and might give him another concussion and knock him out of the game. you know, I mean, that's another good chance of winning that game by doing that. But
Yeah,
it's like, how do you go into the season with a guy that's so concussion prone and you don't have a legit backup that you can trust and put out there and possibly, win games? Because obviously your backup's expected to win games,
right.
and if he can't do it, now what do you do? And that's the situation they were in. That's why they don't look that good right now. They are a beatable team. I said this about Cincinnati, and I paid the price on that one. But I think the Dolphins is also a winnable game.
Yeah, they
It is in
should be.
Miami. I know it's going to be a little hot and everything down there, but I don't think the weather's going to be an issue.
No,
You know, no,
it shouldn't be at least.
no, no, not at all. So I mean, there's other coaches that could possibly be on the hot seat this year, but those are the ones I think that are seriously, even AP. AP's on got a short leash, I think. Well, like
Yeah,
I
he's
said,
definitely there.
as long as he doesn't lose the locker room. I don't think Mark Davis will fire him though. I still think he'll give him another year.
Yeah, I hope not, because like I said, I want to see him develop more as a head coach. And we were pointing out he has all of this help from former head coaches on the staff. I think which honestly kind of makes me think too, like, why has he made some kind of like weird decisions and like kind of dumb decisions sometimes during games with all of that experience on the sideline?
Yeah,
Like,
how has nobody said anything to him? Like, no, no,
right,
no, you shouldn't
exactly.
do that, or don't do that again because that was a bad move. So it's
Right,
like somebody. I don't know if they could, for all we know. I mean, they could be telling him, and he could be just like, it's my decision, so that's why I did it.
right.
I don't think he's that type of guy.
No.
You brought these guys in on your staff for a reason.
To
You
be
know,
vocal, to help you try to develop
yeah,
your like your head coaching prowess. And I mean,
to help give
like
you
I don't know.
guidance, and I mean, you like we said earlier. You look at the amount of former head coaches on this team. There's so much experience on that team right now in the coaches rooms that I don't get how we're that just pathetic. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, Jesus Christ, you got Tom Coughlin was in there as a special advisor. Now you got Norv Turner in there, former head coach also. You got Marvin Lewis in there, former head coach, and a head coach for a long time, and he was pretty successful.
yeah, very.
Uh, Joe Philbin, who was a former head coach in Miami,
Hmm.
wasn't the greatest, but he's still a head coach. He's still got that experience of being in that
He was
position.
there in Miami for a couple of years too.
Yeah, well, he was there before McDaniels took over. He
Hmm.
was the last coach. He was the coach before McDaniels, I think. He's the one that brought in Tannehill. That's when Tannehill started.
Hmm.
Was drafted by them. Was back when Philbin was the coach. I think we got one other too. I'm not sure. I think there was one other that was a former coach. I thought, but still, just those guys alone. How many combined years? I mean, Coughlin alone's got 30 something years of
Right.
coaching experience in the NFL. North Turner's got to be close to that, if not more.
Hmm.
So probably between those two they're probably about 75 to 80 years combined between those
It's
two alone.
crazy. Yeah.
So you tally all of them up, they're over 100 years worth of experience
Hmm.
in the head coaching, and this is still what we get every week. You know, I'm glad we're on the bye week this week.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Just hope we don't lose this week.
There's no way we can.
Don't say that because we're the Raiders. We can find a way to do it. Trust
Someone's
me.
gonna get arrested or something because it's Las
Yeah, something
Vegas.
stupid. But so I'm still curious to see who they're going to come out with the starter now for the
Yes.
Miami game. That's the next. That should be the next big news to come out of the Raiders
Hmm.
organization is who AP's putting down as the starter. And I'm curious to see how the reports on the practices. For this week and next week leading up to the game. How everybody
Right.
feels like. Did they throw out the playbook completely and rewrite everything and
Hmm.
simplify for your quarterbacks? You know, remains to
Yeah,
be
if I
seen.
was in Las Vegas right now, I'd probably put my money on Ritter. Considering how well he did in the second half, and I believe those were all starters as well on the Cincinnati side. So I
Yeah,
don't he didn't do bad. I mean, Minshew has just had way too many turnover problems to be able to keep his spot. I think this past week or two, he just had it because it's really we had no other option, honestly. Like
no,
with O'Connell going out with a broken thumb, we really only had Minshew, and you're not going to start Carter Bradley, honestly. So
no, but
to
he
get
should
Ritter
definitely
to
be
have an
getting.
actual viable option at the second quarterback, at the backup quarterback, who was a former starter, it brings in some more competition, and Minshew just hasn't rose to the occasion.
Yeah, is
So
Bradley
might as
still
well
on the
give Ritter.
practice squad?
I'm sorry.
Is is Bradley still on the practice squad?
They elevated him last week for the Bengals game, but I don't
Okay.
know if they put him back to the practice squad or not. But I think they might keep him
And
because Colin Miller might be out for this game for next week as well. But I'm not sure. Obviously,
so they wouldn't have to so they wouldn't have to adjust the roster that much.
yeah,
Um, I mean, he should be getting snaps too on a regular basis, you know?
might
I
as
mean,
well.
why not just move Minshew to the 3rd string, to the 3rd quarterback, put Bradley in as your second, your immediate backup, and put Ritter in there as the starter,
Yeah, just to try something
until
different. I
O'Connell
mean,
comes
like
back.
I liked Gardner Minshew. Like when we signed him, I thought he was a really good bridge backup quarterback, but he just has not played well at all
No,
this year.
no. No, because you saw what he did in Indianapolis last year when he came in for Richardson.
Exactly.
He had a great year.
Great year.
He finished off the rest of the season phenomenal. So it's like that's why I felt comfortable having him come in,
He was a
you know?
Pro Bowler last year. I think he was.
Yeah, he was. He
Yeah.
was. But again, I mean the Pro Bowl nowadays is a little tainted too. You
Yeah.
know, I it's just not the same. That I don't like it in between the championship game and the Super Bowl. When it used to be after the Super Bowl, you still had the guys that played in the Super Bowl go to the Pro Bowl
Hmm.
and partake in it. Now they have it in between. So whoever's your majority, whoever's playing in the Super Bowl, there's guys from either team that's going to be in the Pro Bowl. Well, they
Right.
don't end up going. So now, look, perfect example, quarterbacks. So you have three quarterbacks that are going to the Pro Bowl. One of them is Mahomes. The Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. Mahomes isn't going to it. All right. So now your quarterbacks now are Lamar Jackson, um, Bo Nix, and now it's Gardner Minshew as your third quarterback in
Yeah.
the Pro Bowl because, so now Lamar Jackson, he's nursing some injuries. He's not going to play now. So he backs out of the Pro Bowl. So now that makes Bo Nix your number one quarterback in the Pro Bowl. Minshew's your number two. Now they're going to bring in the guy that finished sixth on the list.
Yeah.
So that's how I say it. That's why I say it's tainted because these guys are getting in the Pro Bowl only because two or three guys ahead of them are playing either in the Super Bowl or they're nursing injuries at the end of the season and they don't want to partake in it. So
Yeah.
it's just not the same. It's super watered down,
Especially now
so
since they changed it to the flag. Like
which
no
I think
one
is
really
phenomenal.
wants to play in that game. I understand it's safer. It's just not as entertaining. I like the little games that they play throughout the weekend. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like
But
the skill stuff's awesome, which is
yeah,
what they
that
used to
stuff
do
is really
years
cool.
ago. They used to do that years ago when they used to go to Hawaii every year.
Hmm.
They used to have all kinds of different competitions, and those were fun. You know,
Yeah, I really like those. But now that it's flagged, no one really wants to watch that game.
no,
Like, so no one really cares if Gardner Minshew is playing for the AFC team. Like, no one really cares. So
they did. I don't know if you know this or not, but back when Charles Woodson was a rookie, um, when the Pro Bowl was still in Hawaii,
hmm,
and they were still like legit playing in the full pads,
full
the whole nine
pads.
yards. What they did for a side competition, like leading up to the Pro Bowl, they had a um, flag football on the beach.
Oh, that's cool.
You didn't hear about this then, right? You don't know about
No.
this. So the Patriots had drafted a running back that year. I forget the kid's name. If you look it up, you'll find it. Um, but they were playing on opposite teams, playing flag football on the sand on the beach.
Hmm.
Well, when they both went down, Woodson landed on top of him on his leg, blew out his ACL. The kid never really come back from playing. He never came back to his true form like he was before. So
Damn.
they stopped doing that, that's when all the changes started to happen as far
Mm,
as players not taking it. I mean, this ruined the kid's career, you
yeah.
know. So because Woodson has talked about it in the past, but you don't hear him talk about it much anymore. It was a running back. I forget his freaking name, but he was really good too. He was a really good running back. This kid had a hell of a career ahead of him, and just destroyed his knee.
Damn,
He was
that's
never
sad.
the same again after that. But it's like, that's when they started to make all these changes, and players started not hitting as hard. until Sean Taylor came along and pretty much knocked someone out in the middle of the game. Watch that video. That's insane.
I've seen that one before. That's
Oh my
Elway
god, and
bro.
that was a
That
Pro
one's
Bowl game. It's like,
insane.
man, this kid ain't messing around. So it's just the Pro Bowl just doesn't do anything for me anymore. I can't even watch it. I'll watch the competitions, but I won't watch the
Yeah, the
fucking.
competitions are cool. I like the
And it's
precision
ridiculous.
passing one.
Yeah, Kyle won it the last time when it was in Vegas a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
I will tell you this though, I think if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl again, I don't know if I could watch it this year. It was bad enough watching it in our field last year. I don't
Yeah.
think I could do it again.
Well, I was in Vegas for the Super Bowl, so I had a kind of a different experience. Like, just being in the city for the Super Bowl was insane.
Oh,
It
I'm
was
sure the
kind of
atmosphere
like
was nuts.
it was
I'm
kind
sure
of
that
like what everyone imagines LA is like, where every corner there's a celebrity. That's exactly what Vegas was like during that weekend. Like, it was
really.
insane. Absolutely insane.
Well, I mean,
But
it's such a big show, so yeah, it draws a ton of people in, and it's
Mhm.
that whole experience of, like you just said. I mean, the part of the reason you went there was because you weren't going to get tickets to the game.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
tickets are
no.
ridiculous. It's that whole experience.
Yeah.
Like when they played the Super Bowl just down the road from here in New York at the MetLife Stadium, they had the whole NFL experience the week before. I wanted to go down to it, I just never got a chance to. I would
Mhm.
have loved to have gone that. I mean, it's the closest the Super Bowl's ever going to come to me again.
Mhm.
Being there. So it's like,
Yeah, the
I
Super
had,
Bowl experience is really cool. When it was in LA,
yeah.
um, with the Rams and the Bengals, I went, met Debo Samuel, I met
Oh, nice.
Elijah Moore and Eric Kendricks, and who was the last player? There was one more player that I met. I don't remember, but that was really cool. And they had a whole bunch of like cool little stuff, like a punt, pass, kick kind of thing. They had you can get drafted, so I have a video of me getting drafted, like by the Raiders and stuff. It's really dope. What's
Oh,
up,
what's up,
Leo?
Leo? What's up, brother? How you doing, buddy? Um, that's like, what? When they used to do the draft in New York City
Mhm.
at Madison Square Garden, I never got a chance to go. I should have. I had the chance. I just never did it. Um, but I had a couple of friends of mine that used to go every year, and I remember this one time he was telling me, he goes, "We're standing outside waiting in line to get in." He goes, "And all you can hear in the far, far distance, you can hear like a huge crowd of people, and all you hear is JT, Jets, Jets." Like just and it got louder and louder. And next thing you know, they turned the corner and it had to be like a couple hundred Jets fans because they would all
Damn.
get together and just would walk to Madison Square Garden, and they just start walking towards them, all chanting and screaming, "Jets, Jets, Jets, Jets." Now, just imagine being in New York City in between all the buildings and the sound just
Oh,
vibrate,
I bet.
reverberate off of all the buildings and everything. He goes, "It was nuts." He goes, "The Jet fans at the draft were insane." I said, "I know. I've been from watching it all those years, watching the Jets fans inside, how crazy they are." But he
Yeah.
goes, "In person, it was nuts." Yeah, I wish they still did it there. I don't like the whole jumping around thing, going from
Yeah.
different cities every year. It's like it's tradition. It's this is where it should be. This is how it should be done.
It had a different kind of feel when it was in New York for sure. It had
Yeah.
it felt more, I don't know. It felt more, I don't know what the word is, but like it just felt better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree, Leo. I wish they should have never moved it out of New York. I
No,
hate
yeah.
it being elsewhere. Well, we got 3 people watching. I don't know who else is watching. But, I mean, there's so many different things that are going on now in the NFL that just it it just yeah, Detroit draft was good. See, I didn't I would have gone to Detroit, I guess, too, but
I was just in Detroit 2 days ago or yesterday, and the Ford Field is crazy. We went inside to like just like walk around like a little bit. We didn't really get a tour just to go to the gift shop and stuff. But there is a ton of Lions fans. Like it was weird because like it was just a random like day during the week. And I was not expecting for that many people to be just wanting to go to the stadium. Like it
yeah.
was pretty insane. And everybody, it's cool because everybody is rocking. Everyone has their team. Obviously, that's like the city's team. So everybody is a Detroit Lions fan, and it was kind of cool to see.
So, oh, that's right. It's in Green Bay this year too. See, I would love to.
Oh.
I want to go and see a game in Green Bay. See, there's a few fields, well, stadiums that I want to go and see a game in. One is I want to go to South Bend and watch Notre Dame. You
Oh,
know,
that'd be dope.
I'm not like a. I like Notre Dame. I respect Notre Dame.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not like a Notre Dame fan, but I would love to go to Notre Dame to watch a game there. Um, I would love at some point to ever be able to go to a Michigan Ohio State game. I mean, the
Yeah.
atmosphere on that game is just insane, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Green Bay to Lambeau. I mean, again, it's the oldest stadium in the NFL.
Yep.
No, or one of, I think Soldier Field's still the oldest.
Yeah.
I would love to go there. Um, I'm pissed I never got to go to Oakland.
Yeah. Me
It
too.
never lined up right for me to be able to go there. I wanted to. I just never could. Now, did you ever get to Oakland for a game? And
No. My dad didn't like me enough to buy me a ticket whenever he went.
he didn't like you enough.
He said it got in the way of him getting into bars, so I was never able to go,
Aw.
which is a
All
valid
right, now
point.
that's funny though. I like, you know, I want to get to Vegas at some point. And the good thing is my son, he's a Raiders fan too. I mean, he grew
Hmm.
up with me. So I mean, it was inevitable that he was going to be a Raiders fan. I wasn't going to allow him to be a Patriots fan. That was a no no. But he's also a Vegas Knights fan. He's been a fan since the team was formed.
I'm a huge Knights fan. Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely loves them. Um, so what I would love to do at some point is him and I go out to Vegas for a weekend, but I
Hmm.
want to set it up where the Knights are playing at home also that same weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like on a Saturday or Friday night, we fly out on a Thursday, surprise him with tickets to the Knights game because that would just
Mhm.
blow his mind.
Yeah.
And then, have fun for the weekend, Saturday night, hit whatever pregame or pregame parties going on where everybody's hanging out,
Yep.
and then, go to the game on Sunday together. So I mean, that would
That
be
would
a
be
great weekend,
so cool.
you know. So I mean, I would love to do that because I want to get him out there so bad. I want to get
Mhm.
him to a game.
Yeah.
You know, we the last time we were here was in 2014 playing the Patriots. The tickets were just so ridiculous. Um, so the club held a Saturday night pregame party downtown Providence, and then on Sunday, the day of the game, we hosted a tailgate too. Now I went to the tailgate. My son came with me too to that, but we didn't go into the game, so we stayed at the tailgate. I moved my car and we just listened to the game on the Sirius radio, and he wasn't even of age yet. I think he was still 18. So
Mhm.
everybody that was in the same area that we were, they left all the coolers out. So he was just going around the coolers and just swiping drinks from theirs, left ours full, so we didn't even have to drink any of ours. We were drinking
Yeah.
all the shit out of all the coolers around us from everybody else, mostly Pats fans that were near us. So we were taking all the shit from the Pats fans. And
Yeah.
it was tanked by the time we left there, but it was still fun, even though we didn't get to go into the game, it was still a
Oh
good
yeah.
time.
Just the
It was
atmosphere is fun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so what's your like bucket list stadium that you want to go to? Like, what's your
The the number one I want to go to by far is Fenway. So I'm hoping next year, when the Raiders and the Patriots finish at last, that when they play in New England, I can one go to that game, and then two go to a Red Sox game. Hopefully, it's early enough in the
wait?
season, but
I was gonna say you better hope it's early enough in the season because the Red Sox aren't going to the playoffs anytime soon.
but
So
yeah, Fenway for sure.
I've been to Fenway twice. It's
Mhm.
the atmosphere. I went once with my grandfather and then once with my daughter and her friend, and it's fun. It did. I hate watching baseball on TV, but
Yeah.
to be there in Boston in such a historic stadium and to watch a game, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely
Mhm.
nothing like it. It was so awesome, you
Oh,
know.
I bet.
So Fenway Park is yours, huh? What about for football? What stadium sticks out to you that you want to make sure you get to at some point in your life?
For football, I've been to I have a whole bunch of pictures of me when I was like 3 or 4 years old at Green Bay because my uncle used to live in what's the city that's right there? Appleton? That's right next to, yeah, I think it's Appleton. He used to
Sounds
live
right.
there. Basically, the city, yeah, the city right next to where Lambeau Field is. He used to live there, and he's a huge Green Bay Packers fan. And so I we have pictures of us touring the stadium and all that. So I would like to do that again for sure. But honestly, like a cool kind of modern stadium that I would want to go see, which is kind of out there, is Minnesota. I think Minnesota would be super cool to go see because I've heard a lot of great things. That's like that it's up there with like Allegiant in not just technology, but with like atmosphere and with like how clean it is. And I don't know. I think this is a really cool stadium that I would like to go see.
Yeah. I see. I'm more of like a nostalgic type guy. So what's up, rundown? I uh
What's up?
I would still stick with like some of the old school stadiums.
Yeah.
You know, um, I'm trying to think of. I mean, Soldier Field
Yeah, I visited Soldier
would be
Field.
cool.
Um,
Yeah,
so I already checked that one off. Um,
I haven't been there. I mean, I've been to Buffalo, the old the stadium they're playing in now, and they're building a brand new one right next door to them now.
mhm.
Um, so I've been there. I've been to the old Meadowlands.
Okay.
I've been to the MetLife Stadium. So I've been to both Giants and Jets stadiums.
Mhm.
Um, I have not been to Gillette yet since they built
Okay.
it. I've been to the old Sullivan Stadium, which is the Foxborough, the old stadium when it was all
Yeah.
bench seatings or bench seats. Um, I haven't been into Gillette yet because, like I
Yeah,
said, the only
that
time
would be really cool.
they came here twice, 2014 and 2020. The
Mhm.
problem was it was the COVID time and fans still weren't allowed to go into the stadium.
Yeah.
So we didn't even do anything that weekend. Nobody traveled out here for the game, which sucked because we had stuff we were going to plan on doing, you know. But yeah, so I still even haven't been into Gillette. I haven't even been into have I been there yet? I haven't even been into the new Boston Garden where the
Oh,
Bruins and
really?
the Celtics play. Nope. I've been in the old garden.
Uh-huh.
I went there a couple of times. I had a chance to go there in the late 80s, very early 90s when they were gonna play Chicago. I could have taken the tickets from the guy and I turned it down. It was the Bulls versus the Celtics in Boston at the
Wow.
old Garden, and Bird was still playing, and so was MJ, and I turned it
Wow.
down. I still kick myself for not going to that game.
That
I
would have
I
been
I didn't
insane.
couldn't even tell you what the score was. I wasn't well, you know what, I wasn't a big basketball fan, but now looking back on history, it's like that's just something you don't pass up when you get that chance, and I'm
Right.
kinda pissed I never did, you know? Who's I'm trying to think. What's you a Lakers fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you must be. What do you think about, Bronny?
Yeah, I mean,
I
okay,
know Leo,
so
right? I should be shot for that one.
the I think it's a cool, like, I think it's cool because it makes history, but besides that, I mean, it's not, it's kind of a gimmick to me. I think Bronny should have stayed in college. I think he needed a little bit more time to develop. But
Yeah.
we went to go see the Lakers play the Pistons when they were in Detroit on Monday. So I was in Detroit on Monday watching the Lakers. I don't know how lose to the Pistons, and we were just there, and we were in like amazed. I mean, the Lakers normally have a pretty national fan base, so there was a lot of Laker fans there, but we were like, what is going on? Everybody was just shocked because the Lakers played terrible basketball. Absolutely terrible basketball. It was
Yeah, see,
gross.
I'm not a basketball guy. I mean, I'm a big fatty lineman. I mean, I'm a football dude. That's as far as I'm concerned, it's the only sport is football. Occasionally I'll watch hockey only because it's such a physical sport.
Hockey is so much fun.
Yeah. Um and who's I don't know. Did I ask you this before? What Raider, former Raider player have you ever met in person?
A
If you've met
former
any,
Raider. Oh, um,
or current, if it was a current player too.
I've met a ton of current players. I have a jersey. I'll bring it one time, probably next week when I'm at home. I'll show you guys. I have an entire jersey filled with Raider players from Nate Hobbs, AJ Cole, um, Daniel Carlson, Max Crosby.
Damn.
Um, who else? Jacorian Bennett. I got this past year. Trey Tucker. Trey. Oh, who's the guy that we just drafted? Trey. He's a safety. I don't know. Trey something. Um, I forget his
Oh my
name. I
god,
can't
I
remember
can't
his
think of
last
his
name.
name now.
Yeah, him, and then Isaiah Palomau, DJ
Oh, so,
Turner.
so you met
Um,
all the like recent players, like still on the roster type
yeah.
players.
So every
That's
year, me and my girlfriend go to this thing called Battle for Vegas. So it's a charity softball game hosted by the Vegas Golden Knights. Uh, it's the Raiders versus the Vegas Golden Knights in a charity softball game. And prior to the game, we wait hours for players to show up. And they're since both teams are out of it's both of their off season during the summer, so they're super friendly. Like
yeah,
I have a ton of Golden Knights autographs. I have a ton of Raiders autographs, and so yeah, it's really cool. So we just hang out. Basically, they're so much more approachable than in season because they're not worried about like a big game coming up.
yeah,
So they
yeah.
talk.
They're not uptight.
Exactly. They stop, they talk to you, say what's up, take pictures. Like it's a really, really, really fun time, honestly. If anybody in Las Vegas, located in Las Vegas, or is, thinking about going to that game, it's normally in July. So just go ahead and keep, your eye out. It's called Battle for Vegas. It's really, really fun. Highly, highly recommend if you're a Knights or a Raider fan or both, like I am. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Um. So you haven't met like any old school Raiders, like any of the Raider greats, or
Um, Marcus Allen was there 1 year. I didn't get to speak to him though, which was I was so sad. I was so sad. Marcus Allen is my favorite Raider of all time. So I was so sad I didn't get to say hi to him. But I want to say I did. I have met one. I just can't think of who it is though. Maybe it'll come to me. Who have you met though?
I've met two Hall of Famers.
That's what it is. Go ahead.
I by just pure luck, I met Willie Brown.
Oh, really?
Yep. When the Raiders came here in 2014, one of the guys in the club had a friend that worked at a hotel downtown in the restaurant side, and he
Hmm.
found out that the Raiders were staying at that hotel. So we went there and we hung around outside, thinking they were still not there yet. We were waiting for their bus, and all of a sudden, this not pickup truck, box truck pulls up, and they start unloading luggage. I'm like, what the fuck? Somebody goes, yeah, the team's already inside. I'm like, son of a bitch, why are we standing out here? So we go inside, and as I'm walking inside, first of all, didn't really like meet him, like to talk to him, but Khalil Mack walked by me. And
Oh.
now I'm 6 feet tall,
Hmm.
and I'm, pushing 400. So I'm a big dude. My God, dude, he made me feel like a fucking midget. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a fucking monster.
Hmm.
And just looking at his arms, like, just the length of his arms and everything, I'm like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, this is fucking huge. So my wife came with me, my son was with me, and a few of the other members from the club. So I went outside for a cigarette. My son came out with me, and we're standing out there, and I'm smoking, and I look off to my left about, I don't know, 50 feet away from me. I'm looking, I'm like, this black guy wearing a Raiders baseball cap and a suit. I'm like, that looks familiar. So I kind of move a little bit, get closer. I look, I'm like, I nudge my son. I'm like, I think that's Willie Brown.
Hmm.
He goes, no. I said, yeah, I'm telling you, I think it's him. So we start walking a little bit closer. And as soon as I get within 15 feet of him, I know it's him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Mr. Brown. He goes, hey, buddy. So he shook my hand. I'm talking to him. He's talking to my son. And He's out there having a cigarette himself, and he was just so cool to talk to. Now, do you think I would pull my phone out and take a picture of him with us? Take a selfie, take a
Right,
picture of
something,
him with
right?
my son, or give my son the phone and take a picture of me standing next to him.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, never got a picture of him. Didn't even think about it until we got in the car to drive home. And I said to my son, I said, "Son of a bitch." He goes, "What?" I said, "We didn't even take my phone out to take a goddamn picture of us standing there with him." He goes, "I didn't even think of it either. I was just so excited." I said, "Tell me about it."
Yeah.
I was just like starstruck, to actually sit there and talk to him, seeing him play as a kid, watching him, and now I'm standing next to him talking to this guy's like elite of the elitist.
Yeah.
Um, other one I got to meet was they used to do a Special Olympics celebrity sports carnival is what they called it at
Mm-hmm.
the Civic Center downtown Providence, where they would bring in all kinds of famous athletes like Muhammad Ali had been there, and
Oh, cool.
um, you know, TV shows. It was almost like Comic Con before it was Comic Con, is what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big ones there was former Raider defensive end Ted Hendricks. So I
Oh,
got to
that's
meet him,
dope.
and I think it was like $10, and they would take a picture of you with, I don't know if you remember, you don't probably don't know this, but a Polaroid camera,
Uh-huh, yeah.
with a
Those are
a shoot
retro now.
film out. Huh?
Those are retro now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks. I'm old. Um, and that's what they would do. They took your picture. I've got that floating around somewhere. He was dressed with a blue blazer, like a sports coat,
Mhm.
and then he had these multicolored pants on that looked like somebody took the old Sunday comics, all colored and everything, and wrapped his legs in it. It was just the most funkiest colors, but that was his personality.
Yeah.
He always did funky shit or wore weird shit. Those are the pants he had on, standing next to me with his arm around me in my picture, and I'm standing with they were in LA at the time, with a Los Angeles Raiders sweatshirt and a black leather jacket on, standing next to him, my mullet on, and I had a mullet for a hairdo at that point because that was the thing back then. And that I met him and we talked for a couple of minutes. Dude, nice guy too. But those are the
That's
two
so
that I've
cool.
met, that like the two Hall of Famers. I've met Phil Villapiano a few different times at different
Oh, cool.
parties that we've had. Henry Lawrence I've met. I actually, right up to my left, I got a mini helmet sitting up there. It's got John Vella, offensive lineman during the Super Bowl years, Henry Lawrence, and Phil Villapiano, and Mark Van Egan on that helmet too, because Mark
Oh,
Van
that's
Egan lives in
dope.
Rhode Island.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yep, yep. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's cool to meet them, especially when they're older too, because they're so much nicer because they're
Mhm.
not in that limelight anymore. So like when people recognize them, it makes them feel good too. Sometimes I think, so it's like it's cool to meet the old school Raiders. I mean, granted, I would still love to meet like Max and like some of the current
Oh,
players and
yeah,
everything.
for sure.
Like I would love to meet Max and JPJ. I
Mhm.
would, I could sit down and talk to either one of them all day long. Especially JPJ. I mean, he plays the position I used to play. In high school and in semi-pro.
Mhm.
So I feel like we would have that connection.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I have
um,
a great former Raiders Hall of Famer story.
good.
Great. So, me and my family and my girlfriend go to Las Vegas to not to go to the Raiders Chiefs game, but the Raiders are playing or the Chiefs are playing in Las Vegas so we want to go just to be in town to watch the game. We visit the M Resort, which is like the Raiders official hotel. And we're in there and and we go to eat there, and there's like a whole bunch of like Raiders memorabilia stuff. Like it's really cool just to like walk around, look, whatever, right? We're walking around, and me and my girlfriend like split up from my family, and we're just kind of walking, looking at stuff, and there's like this it's like a projected like, oh, welcome to the Raiders official hotel and blah blah blah. There's people standing all around in the lobby because it's in the lobby, and I'm not paying attention because I'm just like looking the opposite way. And I just hear my girlfriend go, "Excuse me, like I want to take a picture of this because there's like a little mannequin wearing a jersey and a helmet, blah blah blah." She takes
Yeah.
a picture. I turn around. She's talking to Fred Bolitnikoff.
Oh my god.
She's saying, "Please excuse me, Fred Bolitnikoff. Like, I want to take a picture of something that totally
She
means
has no
nothing.
clue who he is, right?
No clue, no clue." And he's wearing his Pro Football Hall of Fame jacket, the gold jacket,
Yeah.
and she's just like, "Oh, excuse me." And then after that, I turn around like again,
That's
and she's
hilarious.
like, why is that lady kissing that guy in a wheelchair on the cheek, like for a picture?" It was Jim Otto. Jim Otto
Oh, Jesus.
was right next to her, and she was like, "Who is that guy? Like, who is that?" And I was like, "Oh my god." So after that, it's safe to say I gave her a history lesson
I was
for
gonna say,
sure.
yeah, well, she got one there, and then she got another one later on too,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then after that,
Like,
we
you have
were
to
just
give her
like
homework before you go to events in the future being where you are, like, "Here, this is who this is, if you see this guy."
exactly. And so after that, just like you said, you would expect us to, once we realized, oh, you know, hey, let's take a picture, Mr. Bolitnikoff. Oh, let's take a picture, Mr. Otto. No, we just walk out. I don't know why. Maybe I was too starstruck to say something. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But yes, Leo, I do. You can find me at LV Raider 10 on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever your social media heart desires. I am on it. So go ahead and give me a follow out there. Yeah, I mean, that was crazy.
That
So
that that that
when we went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame,
yeah.
she was like, "Hey, I know that guy," talking about Fred Bolitnikoff. I was like,
He
"Oh
just
my
busted
god!"
out. Yeah, Leo, he went out to Cincy for the game, and, he while he was out he's still out in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati area right now, so he's doing this from his buddy's house. Um, he actually, went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame today, so
Yes, sir.
I'm jealous. That's one thing I haven't done. I haven't gotten to the Hall of Fame, and I wanna get there so bad. Oh, lucky bastard. He
it was
Andre was there while he was there today. Granted, I
yep.
know he's not Raider, but still, you're seeing an NFL, player in person, a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's not
Yeah,
many
I
people
was not
can say
expecting
that.
to run into Andre Reed today. Like,
No, I guess you
it's
just never know
crazy.
who's gonna be there when you go there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was cool today too because I guess there was a lot of field trips. And so there was like while we were walking through the museum, there was like
Like
people
what,
at
school
little
field trips?
like school
Like,
field trips, yeah.
well, you're short enough, aren't you? You could have just blended right in with one of those
I was
school
just
kids.
like,
Yeah, I'm in fifth grade. Oh, look
someone
out.
give me a polo.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was people set up, and there was this guy that had like he was showing us like authentic leather helmets from when the NFL was first started, and then he
No
was kind
shit.
of comparing like footballs and cleats and helmets and shoulder pads and all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool to see. And another person, we were looking at the rings. I guess every person gets a Hall of Fame ring. I didn't even know that.
Mm.
Every Hall of Famer gets a ring that looks like a big Super Bowl ring. He had Charles Woodson's on, like Charles Woodson's Hall of Fame ring, and everybody got to touch it, and like it was really cool,
Oh,
super
that's
super
cool.
cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm so jealous, you bastard. I wanna go out there so bad. I mean, and for me, if I were to drive out there, it's probably like a 18-hour drive from here.
hmm
It's not that far if you think about it, but I definitely wanna go there. Yeah, Leo, I don't do you think Marshawn's gonna get in the Hall of Fame?
As a
I
Seahawk,
mean, well, yeah, I mean, that's where he did most of his damage in the league. That's where he won his Super Bowl. I know there's a big push out there to try and get Phil Villapiano in there too,
mm,
from the Raiders. He should have been in a few years ago. I'm sick and tired of, these Raider greats that are getting in, but they're getting in, you
late,
know, posthumously. They're getting in there after they've already passed. You
yeah,
know,
like Tom Flores got in way too late.
yeah. Well, luckily he's still alive when he got in. Thank God.
Yeah,
I mean, but like Stabler, you know,
yeah,
passed away before he got in. Um, Cliff Branch passed away before he got in.
hmm
And it's not like they passed away 10, 15 years ago. They passed away within a year or two, before they got in. So it's like Stable should have been in a long time ago, just like Plunkett.
Yeah.
What kills me is how does somebody, uh, Leo, you could probably agree with this, I'm sure. How does somebody like Kurt Warner get into the Hall of Fame before Jim Plunkett does? Somebody answer that one for me.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Plunkett's won 2 Super Bowls. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was an MVP in one of the Super Bowls, broke records in the Super Bowls that he played in. Yeah, I know he doesn't have a shit ton of stats, to make up for it too, but he still was one of our better quarterbacks. He's goes down as our second best quarterback we've ever had besides Stabler.
Mhm.
My rankings go Stabler, Plunkett, and then probably Blanda right after that.
Mm.
You know, Gannon was good, but he was only there for a short time,
Couple years, yeah.
But Plunkett needs to get in, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, good God, why? What are they waiting for? There's uh, there's so many players that are worthy of being in the Hall of Fame that aren't, and there's so many that I see get in that shouldn't be there.
Mhm.
Kurt Warner, I'm sorry, Kurt Warner does not belong there. I'm sorry. I don't think he should be there. He's granted he had stats and everything, but he won 1 Super Bowl. You know, he didn't do much, in my opinion. Brady, yeah, Brady should be in there. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy's Brady. I mean, look what he
Yeah.
did.
I think Kurt Warner's just his story overall is just so compelling. It's kind of hard to pass it up, I guess, if you want to make an argument for that kind of
His
thing.
story as far as what, how he got back into the league and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not for nothing. Look at Plunkett's story. He's the Heisman Trophy winner, gets drafted by the Patriots. The Patriots sucked at that time. He was getting his ass beat.
Yeah.
You know, so they let him go. He goes to San Francisco. Doesn't really do much in San Francisco, and then this is back when the Raiders would take in all the, you know, they would. Oh,
Eli
Eli.
said
Yeah, but Eli won 2 Super Bowls.
against arguably the greatest quarterback.
Yeah, twice. You know, then this was in the time, with the Raiders where Al Davis was bringing in these players and giving them second and third chances,
Right.
guys that were problem childs on other teams and saying, "Hey, come on, play for us." So he did that with Plunkett. Pulled Plunkett in. Plunkett sat for the first season, then was able to get in and play, and then it was just lights out after that.
Mhm.
He just played phenomenal. You know, Gannon, the same thing with Gannon. He was a journeyman career backup quarterback. Yeah, he had some starts in KC when he played for them, but then he came to us. Gruden put him in the right system to use his talent and his football smarts,
Mhm.
and he was successful. So there's we'll talk about Eli, like Leo just mentioned. But the thing with Eli is, yeah, Eli's stats aren't that great. But again, he did win 2 Super Bowls. You know, I had this argument, or not this argument, we talked about it last week on the show. We were talking about Aikman. How
Yeah.
Troy Aikman, if you look at Troy Aikman's stats, he is at best an average quarterback. If you look at his career stats, he didn't throw for a shit ton of touchdowns and yardage, but he was a leader on the field. He won Super Bowls as their quarterback. He wasn't. It, they didn't rely on him to win every single game because they didn't have to rely on him. They had
Mhm.
a phenomenal defense during that time. They had the best, hands down, offensive line in the history of the NFL, as far as I'm concerned. And with that being said, they had the greatest running back at that time too because of the offensive line. Emmett Smith was a great running back,
Great.
but you put him in Detroit, you flip flop him and Barry Sanders. You put Barry Sanders in Dallas, and you put Emmett Smith in Detroit. I'll tell you right now, Emmett Smith is not having the same career that Barry Sanders had in Detroit. Absolutely not.
No.
Not going to happen. You put Barry Sanders in Dallas. Barry Sanders is still running to this day. He's running for he would have had close to 30,000 yards. I'm telling you, because he didn't have he in Detroit he had to make the plays himself. In Dallas he wouldn't have to with that line. They would just open up the slightest hole and he'd go right through it.
Yeah.
You know? So with Aikman, yeah, I mean, he did play in a tougher non-pass happy era too. You're right. So his TD yards, yeah, they were earned, but they weren't like super duper yards. So yeah, but if you look at Dan Marino played in that same era, even earlier, and he just was. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, played in one, never got back there again, which is unbelievable. But he played in a pass happy league at that point too, because they had no choice. But Aikman, I don't think Aikman, other than the Super Bowls, his stats don't warrant him being in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
You know, but well, you saw his bust there. Did you talk to him while you were there today? Ask him why he's
Troy
there.
Aikman? No. I mean, I'm not a particularly big Cowboys fan, so
I
I
don't
don't
think a
think
lot of
I've
people
spent much time with any of those guys.
are. What do they have for like interactive stuff? Don't they have like some sort of like video interaction thing?
Yeah, they had a really cool
Like a
video.
3D.
It was like a hologram projection.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
it.
of Joe Namath, and he was kind of taking us along like the journey of football essentially, and like some of the greats. And it had like Vince Lombardi and George Halas and
Oh, like
just
in a hologram form?
yeah, holograms for
Oh,
them.
that's cool.
It was really cool to see. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. Of course, everybody's got to go see it for themselves.
Right,
But
you can't spoil something like that. I mean, that's impossible to spoil because it's the experience of seeing that in person. Because no
oh
matter how
yeah,
much you talk about it, you're still not going to understand it until you see
oh
it.
no, yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
awesome.
was a great show, definitely. And then of course you can like they have you measure your hand compare it to other people in the league. Like my hand was about a Warren Moon size, I'd say. His hand was ginormous.
Yeah,
It was like I don't know if you guys know how big Kawhi Leonard's hands are, but that's what it felt like. Kawhi Leonard plays for the
really.
Clippers. He has a ginormous hand, and that's what Warren Moon's hand was like.
I don't know about mine. I don't know. I don't know who I'd match up with. No clue. But
Probably Kenny
yeah,
Pickett.
who?
Kenny Pickett,
I think
notoriously small hands.
I'm more like what's his name? Spud Webb from
Spud
Charlotte.
Webb.
Charlotte.
Hey, broken dunk though.
Huh?
Spud Webb got up there. He could
Yeah,
dunk.
you did. He was like 4 foot, 5 foot, nothing. He could play. What do you got? Anything else you want to add? Or when you going home now? You leaving what this weekend?
Yeah, this
Head back?
weekend. I don't know. It's been a cool trip. Got to go see the Big House. Went to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Saw a lot of Brady stuff there. That was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I
You
mean,
did some serious sightseeing while you were out there.
crazy
That's good.
sightseeing.
Yeah, man, you make the best of it,
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to see a shitty game and at least get some joy out of it and go and do the things that you did. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. So, I think next week we'll be back on our regular schedule.
Hmm.
Wednesday. It was just a little off. I had a procedure I had to have done yesterday at the hospital, so wasn't feeling too well yesterday. I was hurting yesterday by the time I got home. I was so sore and so still kind of groggy when I go home yesterday.
Yeah.
But we're all set now, and then you'll be back home by then next week, so we can
Yes,
mess
sir.
around. We got a different platform we're going to try out,
Yeah.
different system, be a little bit
Hopefully it
more
works out.
interactive, be a little bit more interactive, be a little bit more fun. So I got nothing else. You got anything else
All
to
right.
add today?
Cool. No, sounds good.
We were on for an hour and 58 minutes. Oh, this was a long day, and there's a lot of news to talk about, but we talked a lot about his trip too. So
Yeah.
glad you had a good time out there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm fucking jealous you got to go to the Hall of Fame. So, well, until next week, I'm Jeff.
Alrighty. I'll see
I'll
you
see you
guys.
later. Later. You still there? Where the hell did he go?